It's time for New Year's resolutions.
Next on Eternal.
Welcome to Eternal Durdles. I'm your host, Zach Clark, and with me as always, Phil Blackman. Phil, how's it going, man?
Zach, my one and only resolution is to hit more blind counterbalances than I miss.
Hit more than you. That's a great start. Yeah. So this episode, we're going to talk about our New Year's resolutions, magic related, of course. The life related stuff is too heavy, man.
Separate episode. Separate
episode. Yeah. Good luck, well wishes to everybody on all the life stuff, but we're here to talk about magic cards. Eternal Durdles is proud to be sponsored by Moxfield.com. Moxfield is the best deck building website on the internet. You can find all of my and Phil's decks in links below, including decks from this episode. And if you do, you'll be directly supporting the channel. You know how it is. We're doing nerd stuff, wizard stuff only here. This year, so we'll go back and forth, Phil. I've got like 5 or 6 written out. You got like 4 or 5 written out. So number one, on our list, you know what? I'm going to go from easiest to hardest. Let's do it like that. I want to 5-0 a league, Phil. I just want to 5-0 a league. Can I 5-0 a league, please?
Is it 5-0ing just a general broad scope 5-0, or is it with a specific? Just a
5-0 in Legacy, of course, but like I want to 5-0 a league. I haven't 5-0 a league ever, and that's only because when I was doing good in Legacy, leagues weren't a thing, and so now that I've gotten back on the train for playing, Legacy, leagues are now a thing. You can 5-0 a league, so that's a ticker I want to check off.
It's a good one. It's a good easy start.
It's a nice clean, It's
do that today.
Yeah, I could. Indeed. I don't want to do it today. If I do it today or tomorrow because it's the Sunday before New Year's, then I have to wait. I have to do it again in the New Year.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's good. That's good. You want to be yeah.
All right. What's your easiest on your list? Pick your easiest one.
Oh, I think the easiest is going to be really because it's on our own. We talked about it last episode. The easiest for me, I think, is I want to build out EternalDurdles.com. I want to get some written content for the Legacy community going again. Anybody who has primers or tournament reports or preps,
comment, please.
Literally anything that they want to contribute as written content to the Legacy community at large. Like if you're looking for a platform, I want to make EternalDurdles.com something that can be that platform. It's going to be a relatively simple format to start out. It's just going to essentially be a hub for where you can just go and place your stuff. And of course, anything that you contribute, we will always link back to your Patreon or anything else that you want people to know, your socials, whatever that makes sense. But it's like just a gathering point that everybody can go to have the written content that at least I hope I am not alone in clamoring for. I always enjoy reading when people write primers or tournament reports when they come through. Oftentimes we're getting video coverage of those types of tournament reports as interviews on this show, but like people are writing stuff up and doing that. And I would love to just like have a place where everybody can go. And so I've already put it on all my socials that like you can DM me and all you got to do is write your Google Doc, send it to me. I'll do all the editing. I'll do all the stuff. All you got to do is write what you care about. And we will get it on EternalDurdles.com for the community at large to enjoy.
And we may end up hosting video content there eventually, or audio content there eventually as well.
Yeah, of course.
For now, let's focus on the written content, right?
Let's get a modern day dojo going again for us, legacy, vintage, pre-modern, pre-fire, Eternal players.
All right. This one's a bigger lift. I want to begin, Phil. At least our first toe dip into getting a tournament series going. The Leaving a Legacy guys did that, and with them gone, there's a void that could be filled by having like the Eternal Durdle series or something like that. Out here on the East Coast where a lot of people are playing, and just like a Touchstone event where I can team up with somebody that knows how to run tournaments and stuff, and you can team up with me on that and figure out a way to just like run like, once a year for right now. Just like one big fun tournament where people come out and they play, and maybe it's proxy friendly or something. I don't know. We haven't even figured out the details. That's just where I'm going with that.
Yeah, you make me think of course, shout out to Buffalo Chicken Dip as a tournament organizer that does stuff in the Midwest, and also
Sarge,
going to be down in Texas at the end of January, and then Ohio in early February. And also, you make me think of the Legacy Pit. Yeah. Which, I doesn't seem like we're going to get another Legacy Pit tournament, but boy, did I enjoy the idea of getting a championship belt. Yeah. As a title to brag about.
And this could be something, maybe, I'm just total spitballing here. Maybe it's something we team up with Dark Depths for, like Alex Sargent is a known, he does Sarge Presents, those vulgar display of pauper tournaments. Maybe we get something going with him. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it too far. It's just something I want to do this year. All right, Phil, you're up.
This is probably something that you and I both have in common, Zach, but having a subscriber goal to continuously expand our channel. We have not been slowing down on Eternal Dirtles. We only want to expand even further. We're trying to do stuff outside of just video production, but I think last year we set a goal for ourselves for subscriber count. We exceeded what I thought was going to be our top end. And so I'm putting it, last year I was a little bit under. So this year I want to go a little bit over. So I'm going to say, I want to get our show to 6,000.
6,000? Oh my God.
I think
you're putting a lot of pressure on me, Phil.
It's a pressure on both of us, Zach. I am not going to sell a short again like I did this year.
You put a lot of pressure on me. I have 5,000 here.
I originally had 5,000, and then I was like, last time my instinct was under, so I'm going over.
Just
going over.
Insane, toxic
going over, Zach.
Relationship with growth. Okay, so I had that as one of mine too. So we'll count that for both of us. Tournament. All right. I think this is the next in line for hardness, for how hard it is for me to do things on this list. I want to win a challenge, Phil. I want to win a challenge, Moto challenge. Yeah.
You came in 9th relatively recently, right?
Yeah.
So you're on the cusp.
It could be done.
You're on the cusp. It could totally be done.
Yeah.
It'd be done. Similarly, in that regard of winning a challenge, I want to top a major paper legacy event.
Okay.
Nice.
That
was that, and by major legacy event, that means a Buffalo Chicken Dip, an Eternal Weekend, a Legacy Cup at a Magic Con, any event that is large enough that we would travel to it. I consider large enough. As a sub goal within that is winning a local 1K or 2K. There are the monthly 1K and 2Ks at shops nearby, whether that's Game Storia or anywhere in the tri-state area that are worth going to. But those major events that people are actually testing and prepping for, and then showing up, and everybody is doing their best to win. Yeah, that was a goal this past year. It is going to remain a goal until it is hit. So that is a resolution for 2025. Is let's get on the board. I
have a similar goal, but that is actually my hardest one. So I'm going to go my second hardest one first. That is for both of us to go to a total of 3 Eternal Weekends this year. That means 6 Eternal Weekend chances total for us to do those top 8 you want to do. That's more of a funding goal than it is the will is there. We both want to go. It just comes down to time off of work and funds to make it happen. So that's a saving thing, and we can do it. We had a really good December where we've gotten some new Patreon supporters, which, hey, your Patreon support does go a long way towards helping that goal out, and it's helping us get new equipment, get better cameras, and be able to cover these events better. It allows us to travel to these events. Big shout out to Moxfield, who is paying for us to go to Chicago, which is awesome. We're going to get to go to Chicago, and we're going to be there doing coverage just for them helping us out. So, Moxfield.
And then the way that translates, I mean, we've talked about it before, but the Legacy Cup and, the Legacy for painting, the stuff at Chicago Cons, those are examples of us being able to go to those events and make the connections and relationships with the people that are in positions of decision making, to add those things to the schedule at those events. It is because we are there and talking to them and relaying what legacy players would like to see as a incentive to come out to those types of things, that they add them to the schedule. So like, it's those things are not just like, oh yeah, we use it for our airfare and travel so we can get there. Like, we are the boots on the ground that are, tally hoeing for the legacy community, because we want the same thing that everybody listening wants, presumably, which is more high level paper events for us to play in.
Yeah, I took time out of my busy holiday schedule to go to PAX U, which is not normally, like, I go every year, but it's not a thing I'm into. Like, I was in the board games industry, not really my thing, but I knew that the cats from Pastimes were going to be there, so I wanted to talk to them and tell them, give them the feedback about how we think things have gone since the conversation I had with them there last year, and how people are liking the events at the Magic Cons and stuff. So it's one of those things where we're actively trying to get more legacy onto the calendar, and that support is one of the things that helps us get there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Phil, do you have two more? Or you have one more?
I know I got two more.
Okay, so this is your second hardest.
So I haven't been moving in points of difficulty, because if I was, I think the top 8 major legacy event would be at the high end.
Yeah.
I think this one is also relatively easy, I would say. You've been going in difficulty. I've just been going in random. But I'm enamored by the community of Eternal players building out more areas where people can play things that they enjoy. And one of those things that I was happy to see and have been starting to get into is the pre-fire format. Which is essentially a new version of pre-modern.
Oh.
Zach doesn't like it. It's essentially like what
Heritage.
It's sort of like Heritage, except it's with the intent of being a different variation of pre-modern. It's literally like post pre-modern. So it's pre-fire, and I think that, like, for all the players that pre-modern has been a boon for, and we saw that, like, LobsterCon sells out in 4 hours in 2025, and I think that it is a fun thing that I think will have enough traction, and I like being able to be in those spaces for. And here's why, Zach. I'll tell you why.
Play the Magic that makes you happiest. That's that.
You play the Magic that makes you happiest. Now, don't get me wrong. Legacy is the thing. Like, Legacy is the thing that we all aspire to do well in and continue building. And it's the thing that's ever changing. And it's the WotC supported format. But what I really like about something like a pre-modern, and why I feel like differently from where it might be nostalgic for the players that played pre-modern as a kid. When I first got into pre-modern, we know the story. I was going to play Parfait, and then while my land taxes were in the mail, land tax got banned, and so I never actually got to play the deck. But when I did get into pre-modern, what I found was it was such a nice refresher from when Legacy felt chorish, in those brief times where it's like I got to play pre-modern, and how the community just loved and adored it so much, and it was this nice revigorating thing that made me come back to trying to solve the puzzle of Legacy in a way that I felt was, like, really healthy. And besides, like, taking a break when you need a break from Magic, it's like, well, if I don't want to take a break from Magic, but I need a break from Legacy, I went over to pre-modern and I had a blast, and it was really nice to just try something new that was lower stakes for me personally, and it gave me that boost that I wanted.
Yeah.
And I think that pre-fire is just going to be able to do that for other players that don't have the same nostalgia hits for pre-modern. I'm sorry, for pre-modern. Yeah. So it's like, I think that, like, giving access to what pre-modern offered me to more players that pre-modern doesn't speak to, I think is a really healthy thing for the Eternal community at large. And so I hope to see pre-modern thrive, and I want to be able to play those things. And right now it's still, like, loosely online. Players are playing it. The Discord pops off. Like, it's very popular. Like, everybody's talking on Discord in pre-fire. Hit me up if you need the Discord link to get into it. But I hope that there can be some pre-fire paper events with it that are reasonably travelable. And even if it's like, only going into the red to travel to play on them, I would do it to support it, because I hope that it can build its way to becoming a second pre-modern that we could see a version of LobsterCon in the future, because it was good for me, and I hope it's good for others, and I really want to see that grow.
All right. Well, my last one is quite a lift, so I'm going to let you go again with your final one.
My final one is definitely a personal one, and it is something that Zach has seen me endeavor at all of these Magic Cons and the like. Have endeavored to acquire. I sold off a ton of my collection in 2024. Just a bunch of cards that I wasn't playing anymore. Time wise, a bunch of cards for other formats that I just wasn't playing. And I essentially have held on to the value of all of that and everything else to try and acquire my pieces for Vintage. I got to play Vintage at Eternal Weekend for the first time this year, but I was borrowing a bunch of cards. Shout out to Roland for letting me borrow his gorgeous Ancestral Recall. But I have given myself the challenge of wanting to acquire my Vintage pieces that are altered. So I have some Vintage altered pieces, and I want to.
I would say that's definitely at the top of the list for difficulty.
For difficulty.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of more cards that I can sell and offload. So like I'm sure that there will be deals to be found in terms of like the cost of acquiring these things. Fortunately, I'm a dude who I don't have kids. My financial burdens outside of just paying my bills is not too steep in terms of what I'm responsible for. So I have a disposable income to be able to acquire expensive nerd cards if I feel like it, and I want to be able to find really nice altered Vintage pieces out in the wild that I can acquire for my collection. And I have about half of the power that I still need, and then some things on the fringes like Time Vault and things like that I would like to find. And so I'm hoping that this year, in the same year, I'm hoping that 2025, in the same way that 2024 was very fruitful for finding really beautiful altars to power and non-power alike, that I'll be able to find them. And then have my Vintage deck where I won't need to borrow. Although, really lovely to have a community as strong as it was. Guys like Jesse Ma offered offered power to play with. Kevin, who owns Game Storia, offered power if I needed it. I had guys like Greg, who's a local at my shop in Astoria.
Shout out to Greg. Yeah, Greg's awesome.
He offered. He was like, "Hey, if you need a Mox Pro, like, let me know. I can lend you that for EW." Like the generosity of people who do have power that were like willing to loan it out, and the risk they take on by doing so is you can't be understated. So I appreciate all of those people. I just hope to have my own set of altered Vintage pieces. That way, I can just not need to be in that position, despite me being extremely grateful that we have a community as strong and trusting as we do, to be able to do that so we can play.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest goal, and it will be, hey man, we all find the game within the game, and my game within the game is finding really cool altars out in the wild, and mine now just happened. What's my golden elephant? Is that the expression for like the piece de resistance that you're looking for?
Golden elephant. Never heard that as a thing. Golden elephant.
I forget what the expression is, but there's some expression where it's like the creme de la creme.
You're MacGuffin. You're like full MacGuffin quest.
The full quest is to find
your Triforce.
Altered Vintage pieces. We're talking power. We're talking Tolarian Academy, or not Tolarian Academy. Library of Alexandria, Time Vault, all of the adjacent things to Vintage. I am in. I'm an angry Vintage bro now. So let's do it.
Well, okay. So my final one, the hard one for me, it's hard, Phil. It's going to be a tough one. Now I didn't make it as crazy as top 8, but I'm calling a shot here.
Call it, Zach.
Both of us need to top 32 one of the 3 Eternal Weekends we go to. Don't have to be the same one. But that is my hard resolution, is that I would like for both of us, and it'll probably be the last one because we'll probably like figure out the metagame. I watched what Bosch and Roll did where Brian went to Pittsburgh and was like, didn't do too well, rejiggered his whole game and went out to Europe and like was like on it, just figured out exactly what he wanted to do. And I feel like I had that after those 11 rounds. I had that clarity where, like, if I could do this over again, I'd make 2 or 3 tweaks and I'd go into and essentially going into the exact same tournament, right? Like that's what you're doing, right? And getting a reroll, right? And so I think that if we take it seriously, top 32 is not out of the question as far as things that we can do. That's X and 4, X and 3.
Depending on the size of these tournaments, I mean, I agree though that I think that like the amount that you learn from one event, if we could just have like ran it back the following weekend, and assuming that we would be going into approximately the same meta, like we would have done better than we did.
Yeah.
And I don't think we didn't hit our initial targets, but we also didn't. We both came out with not losing records after a tournament weekend here, for what we wanted to do. And I think that that's a better goal than me saying top 8, which is
top 8 anything point, I think is less hard than top 32ing a called event, like we're calling an event, right? Yeah. Top 8ing an event, like a big event, either one of us can certainly do that. But top 32ing both of us, it has to be both of us, right? Top 32ing and Eternal Weekend out of the 3 that we want to go to, and I think is a possible thing. Now on here, I had also crossed out finish my blue duels is just a thing that I put on there. But I was like, it's more financial, a little bit closer to your vintage thing where it's like, you're getting. So I was like, let me swing for the fences on the last one. Top 32, 1 Eternal Weekend. Both of us have to get there on that one for that to be like a completed. And then we can look back at this in a year and be like, how did we do? Right? Did it work out? Did we, we'll look in when we check one off. We can be like, hey, I did the thing, and we can talk about it. But I think that's a good, let's, here are the lessons that we are trying to convey to people. And, we're actually practicing what we preach.
Yeah. I think that's a goal that we've had for a long time. And I think we did get closer in 2024, certainly than we were in 2023. And we're also going to go to more events in 2025 than we did in 2024. Yeah. So we'll have a much better sense of the learning curve over time. And with more shots on goal, I think, we can, before we were missing the net, now we're hitting the posts. And I think in 2025, we're going to be able to slide across the grass, Zach. I think, I think we're going to get one in it.
Just as a bonus one that I've told Phil already, when we go to these events, on my New Year's resolution list is we need to take more selfies with people that say hi to us.
Oh yeah.
That's an easy one. It's low hanging fruit, but we always forget. And then someone walks away after we're like, well, that was great. It's like, we should take a photo,
yeah.
So that for me is another big one, is just making sure that we're cataloging this stuff. Cause it's this is a rare thing for anybody, I think, to have a bunch of people listening and listening along on our journey. And I think, one of the things I say to Phil every now and again, I think, people who listen to the show a lot have heard me say this, is that when I'm looking at our numbers and, we're doing the Spotify numbers and the YouTube numbers and stuff, it's just numbers. In my head, it's just numbers. But when we see people in real life, it's surreal, because it's like, oh yeah, those are people. We're entertaining 500-600 people an episode, and that's meaningful. That's a lot of people's workday that was made slightly better because we were there. And that's, if I can do anything, that's all I want to do, is just be making your day a little easier because you had something to do and entertain you. So I think the least I can do is get photographs of all these people who are having a good time listening to the show, or that come up and say, hey, thanks for the content and stuff like that. To me, it's still surreal, because I was explaining to my in-laws, they were like, oh yeah, did you go to any events and stuff? And I was telling them about Eternal Weekend and how all these people were coming up, and it's something you can only experience and explain if you've ever experienced it. It's just a completely wild, I don't consider myself, and I don't think Phil does either, a magic celebrity or a celebrity of any station at all. We're just guys doing this because it's fun. So when people come up and treat us like we're improving their lives in some way, it's super cool to us. And it just makes it real, which is really, really cool to me.
I agree. The number of people that were like, I recognize your voice and all that stuff. And that it's just the joy that it brings them without, with no conditions around it. It's just like, oh yeah, thanks, man. Like, I appreciate your content. I literally like this. I got some altered cards online recently, and the like I had made an offer on these cards, and the seller, he reached out to me personally. He's like, "This I think I know Force Phil." I presume because he reached out to me. He's like, "Hey man, I think you just offered on these altered cards. Can we just do this here instead of on these on eBay or wherever where there's fees and such?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, totally." And he's like, "Cool, thanks, man. Appreciate the content, by the way." And I was like, "Oh, sick!" Like like just randomly out there. It's like it's that is like really cool to see that like there's reach and it cares, because like at the end of the day, we are just amongst the legacy players in the community, and we want we just like talking legacy. Like at the end of the day, we just like talking this stuff.
It's fun hanging out and chatting about Magic cards at the end of the day, right? And that's it's also, that's another cool thing that like I did, that like Phil and I kind of realize as we're out like doing this stuff, is like it's so much easier to interact with people when you're buying and stuff. Not because they're giving you like a better deal, but like you just know that you can trust people. Like the last 3 dual land purchases I had were from people that were in our Discord and stuff, that were just like, hey, like I'm selling stuff right now, would you like to get in on that? It's like, yeah, that's great. Like I know that these people aren't gonna like scam me. They have a history in the channel and stuff, so like I don't have to worry about someone being weird, or they're friends of ours already. Like I got Island Delver Go sold me a Underground Sea. That was like, that's easy. Like I know where it's coming from. I know that, that, it's a real dual land, that sort of stuff. But, here I am rambling. But again, thank you all for watching this year. It's been a blast having you all here. To all of our guests, thank you. It's not nothing to come on here and like hang out with us for about an hour when these come on. And I know a lot of times like it's last minute and stuff like that, so I really appreciate any of our guests that can jump on last minute. Every one of our guests that jumped on for the banned and restricted shows, we're just going to make that a thing now, like where every time there's a banned and restricted announcement, like we invite people on and do that, because that's super fun to me. It's just like really fun getting everyone's opinion and seeing how they feel about what's coming up, and getting like kind of a zeitgeist moment. And just huge thank you to everyone who supports us on the channel in any way, that's either watching, commenting, liking, subscribing, of course, and the people in our Patreon who donate their money to us as well as all that. You can do that at patreon.com/eternaldurdles and get ad-free content directed onto an RSS feed for you, so you have like you're just jacked into ad-free content that way. And I don't know, Phil, what do you got?
I just echo everything you said.
Perfect. Well, thank you all for watching this year. We will catch you in 2025. Have a good one. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to this channel and do your part to help sustain the legacy content ecosystem. Just subscribing to this channel goes a long way to reminding YouTube that people love and support this format. Now, if you really want to go the extra mile, you should think about supporting us through Patreon. Both the links for subscription and Patreon are right here. And if you're listening on an audio format, you can go to patreon.com/eternaldurdles. Thanks so much for watching.